Welcome to Truth by Billie Beene. Today's date, July 11. Time in Texas, about 5 p.m. It appears we may be reaching the brink of the U.S. and the world being on fire. So we have this to begin. Hal Turner brings out that President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has made a public statement via video that many are fomenting a nuclear annihilation situation. It's believed she's talking about Russia and the Ukraine. And today, President Putin is meeting with different parts of the Russian government. It's believed that Russia may go from a military operation in Ukraine to a new category of counterterrorism operation, which means that Russia can really step up what they're doing against Ukraine, including taking out Zelensky and the Rada, the Ukraine government, in a counter-terrorism operation. Now, Tulsi Gabbard goes on to say the U.S. and the world are on the brink of nuclear annihilation. The elites and the warmongers will have bunkers to go to, but not you and I. So we need to pray away what's going on in terms of war situations. And we have this going on that coming out from multiple sources, that yesterday on June 10, President Trump had two phone conversations with Bibi Netanyahu, the leader of Israel. And President Trump twice said no to Israel for a joint U.S.-Israel strike on Iran. And yesterday, Israel asked President Trump to also stop negotiating with Iran and join Israel in a military strike on Iran. Israel then said it may hit Iran on its own. President Trump has said no to Israel's hit. President Trump said no to a joint U.S.-Israel strike on Iran. He also said no to Israel striking Iran on its own. And we have further developments going on that indicates concretely to our own lying eyes that something's going on in the Middle East. In the Middle East, let's review. We have Lebanon. That's where Hezbollah is. I brought out in my previous video, Hezbollah said that they were funding the riots that are going on in America. We know that Hezbollah is a proxy for Iran. So we see Iran joining with Soros, the CCP, the Muslim Brotherhood, in funding and fomenting unrest inside the U.S. So that's going on. So we have Lebanon, Syria, Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, the Gulf of Oman, the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf. Now through the Persian Gulf, the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Oman, flows a high percentage of the world's gasoline. So then we have Iran, we have a body of water, Persian Gulf, and then we have Kuwait, Bahrain, plus other countries. But we're going to cover what's happening today. The U.S. State Department is saying to the embassies and to the U.S. military bases in many locations in the Middle East. So that's the U.S. government, the U.S. State Department is giving this warning to both employees in the embassies and the U.S. military Middle East bases. All essential persons and families prep for evac. So that's going on. And the U.S. sent out a security message to all U.S. vessels in the Persian Gulf, and the U.S. Navy 5th Fleet in Bahrain is on high alert, and U.S. military families prep to evac. We also have in the Middle East, UK also giving out similar warnings and taking similar actions with its citizens and embassies. We also have inside the UK giving warning to UK citizens. You know, that's England, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, UK. The UK government is giving warning to its citizens. Fill up your vehicles with gasoline, fuel, store extra fuel, complete your emergency preps, and we have similar messages going out in various ways, not formal from the U.S. government, informally inside the U.S., to also, prep, complete your preparations, have a alternate way of communication, such as a CB or ham radio. And we have traffic going up, traffic communication inside the U.S., military inside the U.S., and it's believed this may be due. President Trump may enact the Insurrection Act, and if he does, that may curtail some activities of American citizens. And we have this from Canadian Prepper, that the U.S. is evacuating non-essential personnel and citizens from Iraq. So also Iraq, Bahrain, and Kuwait. And that there's evidence Iran is now increasing its GPS jamming or its electronic warfare to take down planes in this area. We know yesterday also Israel on the border of Syria and Iran was doing practice exercises to mimic Israel striking inside Iran. And Prepper News puts this out. It's believed there will be a joint U.S.-Israel hit on Iran. But I brought out that information from Hal Turner, that President Trump yesterday said to Bibi Netanyahu 2 times, no. So that's going on. We have Dr. William Mount, who's come out with the map. And we also have BPEARTHWATCH giving weather, what's going to be going on inside the U.S. with the weather. And we know Saturday there's a big parade scheduled in Washington, D.C. Plus, we have ongoing deep state riots and many more planned. It's believed up to 180 riots are being planned. And on the interactive map that Dr. William Mount presents, you could put in your zip code and find out if a riot is scheduled near you. So that's going on. Now, I find it curious, and I looked on that map presented by Dr. William Mount. You see New York almost completely covered. Heavy coverage for New York. Now we have from New York Prepper that, Bahrain is evacuating families, the U.S. Embassy, and also on high alert. and that the U.S. Embassy in Iraq also preps for Evac. And from Fox News, we have that Israel may hit Iran. Now, New York Prepper brought this out, and I'm tying this to the riots going on in the U.S. There's heavy coverage of New York and the East Coast. It's almost solidly covered up on the prospective map for riots. And I listened to some unusual radio traffic that New York Prepper had put out, where we had the U.S. military putting out, in just some plain words, no code, New York and the U.S., heavy contact in New York, and they had a radio frequency, and they gave out a radio frequency to use for landings at JFK to avoid collisions. And I tie this back to the message put out by President Trump's Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, about a potential nuclear situation. So we have the U.S. military today putting out on the U.S. military nuclear code radio channel saying in the U.S. there will be heavy contact in New York. They give a radio frequency to use at JFK Airport to avoid collisions. It's my perception, something's going on. And we have this, yes, and the U.S. military also continued with regard to New York. For the airport inbound flights, it's good to go down 1/4 of the way for inbound flights to JFK on the runway. Going into JFK, go down 1/4 of the way on the runway for a long landing. So we have that. And we have also today coming out that the U.S. military, now I had put this out, so we have the prospect of 180 sites in the U.S., potential deep state sites for riots. And we know that President Trump has already federalized 2,000 National Guard in California, and he has sent in California to Los Angeles 700 Marines from the California 29th Palms base. This is in addition. I'd also put out information from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth that the U.S. President Trump and the U.S. military are considering sending an additional 20,000 U.S. military troops to various cities around the U.S. New York Prepper adds information. The U.S. military is to send, this is definite, when they're sending troops to these locations, they're also going to send heavy vehicles and heavy weapons. And these will be going initially to New York City, Chicago, and Virginia. So we have that going on. So it's just a heads up. It might be good to finish your preps. I do think that if President Trump puts in place the Insurrection Act, which exempts the U.S. military from posse comitatus, Now, it is not my perception the U.S. military is going to be used against American citizens, but rather to help ICE and other agencies round up illegals and to control the rioters who are not a grassroots movement by American citizens, but paid deep state operatives. So that's going on. So it's good to pray for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.